So now we have a few slides on auditing investments. With respect to investments, the two assertions that are considered to be at highest risk of misstatement that we spend our most time testing as auditors are going to be existence and valuation. So we're going to spend a little bit of time talking about each. So with respect to existence, our main tests here for investments are typically confirmation, different types of confirmation. You can see here we have many different types of confirmation listed as possibilities, right? And I would actually say really the most common of these is going to be this one, confirmation with the custodian. Sometimes you all don't understand necessarily the distinction between all these. So in terms of confirmation with the issuer, that would be, let's say the investment, right, is me investing or a company investing in Coca-Cola stock, right? Confirmation with the issuer would be me trying to contact, as the auditor, trying to contact actual Coca-Cola directly to say, hey, my audit client, can you confirm for me that they own 10 shares of your Coca-Cola stock? Right. So obviously, if your client is a major shareholder of the stock, they would probably be aware of it. But if they're some minor shareholder on like a secondary market, yeah, the original issuer is probably not going to be aware of their ownership status. So confirmation with the custodian is much more likely. So the custodian, if we're talking about a stock like Coca-Cola, the custodian would be whatever service you use to buy or sell that stock. So it could be something like an e-trade. Oftentimes these companies are using some kind of a fidelity type service to buy and sell shares of mutual funds, things like that. So yeah, that's the type of custodian we're talking about. So those type of financial service providers. In terms of valuation for investments, a key thing, and this was a key thing for me working in 2009 when the financial crisis happened, and I'm sure once again it's going to be a key thing now with the market doing what it's been doing lately. So you have to determine valuation if other than temporary impairment has occurred, right? Has there been a permanent decline in market value? And if there has been a permanent decline in market value, then you need to recognize that impairment. And it's going to be a hit to income. So this is not necessarily not going to be a popular decision. So these are some indicators of other than temporary impairment. So fair value being significantly below cost. There's specific adverse conditions that affect it, which could be specific to the investment, but it could also be macroeconomic conditions, such as the economy crashing, right? Also, you tend to have to recognize OTTIs more if the investment is available for sale, right? Because oftentimes if some of these investments, right, technically have a 30-year maturity, and if your client technically has the ability to theoretically hold them to maturity and is willing to do so in order to not experience a loss in them, then you wouldn't have to recognize a impairment loss, right? If they are happy to hold on to that thing for 20 years till the value recovers, just out of spite, then you're fine. You don't have to recognize an impairment. Also, how long has this decline in fair value lasted? Is it, obviously if it's like a week or a few weeks, no big deal. If it's been 6 months, yeah, we're more concerned. It's a debt security and it's always been, double A, triple A, and now a rating agency like Moody's has downgraded it to triple C. It's not looking good. And if the financial condition of the issuer has deteriorated. So these are also some things we want to think about with respect to investments in terms of presentation and disclosure. And some of these also are relating to, like this very first one is clearly relating to classification. So you want to make sure you are properly classifying your investment as hold to maturity, trading, available for sale. Hopefully those terms sound familiar to you. So it might be like really stretching back in your memory at this point, but hopefully you do remember those terms. Remember that classification determines whether it goes into current, non-current, etc.